Hello everyone, Doris here. Today I am working on Margarete Miller's Collage Weekly Challenge, Week 3. So this time I decided to show you some of the elements I'm going to be using for the prompts, and then I will show what I ended up coming up with all of those elements. So first, for Week 3, something fast. I have chosen the hummingbird on this greeting card. Hummingbirds are known for having very fast wings, so I'm going to be using that. Then we had lace, which could be a portion, a photo, or illustration. I have a lot of lace, and so I've decided to go with this beautiful lavender lace. It's a little bit dingy because it's old, but that's okay. It just adds to the character of the page. Then we have a game piece, and here I'm kind of up in the air about this one. So I've chosen possibly this Monopoly piece and a bingo card, an old bingo card. Next is a ledger paper, and for that I have some sheets of old ledger paper with the numbers there. Next is text in a foreign language, and I'm going to be using this here. It's in pretty fragile shape. I figure I can still work with it. And then the last thing, if you can't do one of the prompts, she always gives you a bonus that you can use instead. So I'm going to try to not only incorporate all 5 of the prompts, but also the bonus, which is something lavender. So here I have an envelope I might use. The other thing I might use is this envelope and card, which the card also has more hummingbirds on it. I may fussy cut those out and use them as well. And here's the envelope. So I've definitely given myself some options. So let me go ahead and work with that, and we'll see what I come up with. Okay, before I go into what I did for week 3, I just want to briefly just mention 3 goals that I have set myself personally in doing these weekly challenges. Number 1 is to incorporate sewing in some form. I absolutely love anything to do with sewing, whether it's patterns, physical sewing, stitching, embroidery books, all kinds of things. So if there's any way with each weekly challenge I can incorporate that, then I will. Number 2, I'm not going to use digitals. I know a lot of you are saying, wow, how are you going to do that? Well, I have a lot of stash, just like a lot of you do. So my goal is to try and go through that and find things that I have to use that are physical items. And of course, I can use digitals as a last resort, but for now, I'm hoping that I can just use whatever I have on hand. And number 3, I really want to acknowledge the shops that I have bought ephemera from. There are some really wonderful shops that I absolutely love to purchase ephemera bundles from. It's so eclectic, and there's so many fun things in these kits. And sometimes the shops are shops on Etsy, and sometimes they're even ephemera kits that I can find on eBay. Moving on from there, let's see what I did for week 3 challenge. Okay, so first off, so for the prompt sheet, I went ahead and stitched around it. First thing is something fast. So in the beginning of the video, I mentioned using that greeting card that had the hummingbird on it, and that was going to be my fast item. So here's my hummingbird I fussy cut out. You can see some gold foiling on there, really pretty. Next we had lace that could be a portion, a photo, or illustration. Right behind here you can see I have some, let me hold that up a little bit. I have some vintage lavender lace that I used. Next is a game piece, and for this challenge I actually have 2. So first is the bingo card that I decided to sand down a bit just so it doesn't show up as much. I really wanted the hummingbird to be the focal point here. And the other piece was this Monopoly money, and I went ahead and just turned it upside down, and it kind of gives your eyes a place to rest. Then we have a ledger paper, and you can see my ledger paper right behind here. And text in a foreign language. I used a square die to cut it out. There is a faint stitch line all the way around there. This week the bonus is something lavender. I was able to do all the prompts, plus I'm doing lavender. So in this case, I am using this envelope here. So in the beginning of the video, there were actually 2 envelopes. So the envelope here, and I ran this through my die cut machine as well, and I used an embossing folder on there and just made a real subtle impression. And then there was more lavender. This is the flap of the other envelope, the back flap. I cut that off. I did a zigzag stitch when I ripped off the envelope flap. And then if you look over on this side, this is from that greeting card that the Hummingbird came from. And again, I did some more zigzag stitch here, made it like a little tuck spot. This was actually part of what was on the greeting card. May today be filled with sunshine and smiles, laughter and love. I really loved it, so I thought I would tuck that in there. And then this happened to work out good with some writing space. We just returned from seeing my husband's family in Arizona, so I'll be able to write about our trip. Another piece of the greeting card here. And that's the end of my week 3 of prompts for Margarete Miller's weekly collage challenge. I will have below this video Margarete's YouTube channel explaining the challenge, and I also will have the link to her Etsy shop. And in her Etsy shop, there's various ways you can get these prompts. And one thing I wanted to mention is that if you print them out, they come 4 weeks on a sheet, and I cover them up. So this is kind of an example. So this is for the next week, just to make it less stressful on myself, or for me to not get ahead of myself. I always put this on here, and it has really helped. That way I just concentrate on what I'm doing this week, and then when I'm all done, I will take this off and move on to the next week. So just a little idea, if you struggle with feeling like you're overwhelmed and looking at all the weeks, just maybe come up with something like that. Maybe it'll work for you too. That's it for this week. I hope you will come back next week when we try the next collage. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope all of you are doing well. Also, be sure to check out the hashtag on YouTube as well as Instagram. It'll be hashtag 2022 CWP, and in this case, we're on week 3. Have a great day.